Hello, in this video we will create such a material and understand the basics of layered materials in Unreal Engine. First I will show you the process of creating this material as a usual way. So first we will create our material, and I wanna use material attributes to simplify our creation, which will be like using set material attributes, and we will only override each attribute as we need. It will be base color, roughness, normal, and displacement. So first we will need our texture inputs. I will create our textures and set their default placeholders as I have prepared early on texture, masks, and flat normal, which will be specific sampler types, and now we will convert them to the parameters. And as you can see on the left, there is this parameter tab, and each parameter we create creates a group of named textures. We will focus more on to make it more organized. So this Unreal reroute nodes are really useful also to keep it more organized. I will just want to use parameters in a separate area and use our created reroute nodes and just plug them. For the packed, we will need to unpacked our roughness and displacement data in the green and blue channel, and we will connect the normal. And this is the basic setup of the material. So when we apply this, we will have our material. Let's create the instance of it and apply this to the plane so we can see it's working. Alright, when we open up the material instance, now we only have our three inputs, our texture inputs, and you know they are now global. We want to use our custom names for the groups so we can like keep it more personal, organized. So let's swap the default textures with our brick texture set, which is using ORD, roughness and displacement packs. And we can enable the tessellation in the Unreal after the 5.5. We can do it on the material or in the material instance. Doing material instance more efficient. I want to keep the material free from tessellation to keep it more simple, but as you can see it's working very nice. And when you scale the Z axis of the plane, normally it wouldn't have effect, but now we have like three-dimensional shape in the world. Alright, so next step in our material creation process, we want to control the UVs. First we take the texture coordinate node and a general parameter for controlling the scale. I'm calling it tiling, default value 1, and under the category of UV logic. So keep it simple and organized again. Then I want to multiply it with an append node, which will be vector 2, which will be responsible for X and Y, or in this case like U and V channels of the texture coordinate, so we can control each direction separately. Then we will add another vector 2 with an append node, and also we will create two parameters for each direction. For the X and Y, we will just copy and rename this to offset. And you can see our parameters are set up now. Under the UV logic, we have the simplified and well-structured controls. Now I want to call this also a reroute node with a UVs, and then we will use the UVs parameter to overwrite our UVs of the texture samples. When we control this, apply and save, then in the material we will be able to see our new version of the material. So I want to use additional information, additional overrides, controls for the textures we have. So I want to rename these reroute nodes as sampler versions, and then I will call the base color and packed and normal as adjusted versions of it. So like base color sample, I want to use a simple logic to create our final base color. So we can just simply multiply with brightness. We can have desaturation, and we can have hue shift, or we can use tint color. They are generally like similar workflows, but it depends on your game logic. It can be useful in both ways. So hue shift will using single scalar parameter. Then I want to have a static switch to switch over the method tint or use hue shift option. We'll connect these. As you can see, we need to put them in the same category. I will call this surface color. And now to make our textures and UV category higher, I will put this symbol. I don't know the English name, but when we put like this, we have like our textures, UVs, and now surface adjustments. First the color information. So after all these operations, we can call this for the final our base color. Then we can set our base color in the set material attribute, and we will have our like final color information in the material. Let's apply and see how we do it. So we have our textures, UVs, and in the color you can play with the parameters. Like now we default have tint color. You can set the color and brightness and the desaturation, and we can add an RGB contrast. It's not like the cheap contrast, the RGB contrast. This is like in Photoshop, but for you working with the color information. So we can use another parameter to control the contrast. I mean, just for the more options, more flexibility in our material. Each parameter will add like 2 instruction count. So just so you know, using scalar constant values will be more cheaper. If you don't need like a parameter, best to keep it more constant values. And the hue shift will have like one single parameter to drive the override of the color. You can use it in the like blueprint logic. It can be useful, like between 1 and 0. Okay, now we have our first color information set. We can adjust more the rest of the material. So we will have our green channel of the packed sample, and this will be our roughness. So I will create a roughness amount and contrast parameters and try to make a simple general logic. I will later in the video show you a custom HLSL node that you can use in your projects. It is really helpful, really useful, handy, like a small code for controlling the gradient value. It will have like amount and contrast. For now we can follow this in this video now. Same logic will be applied to the displacement also. It is like using the masks and zero, controlling the area of 0 and 1 value, the gradient, how sharp is the contrast, where is the contrast happening, etc. And then lastly we have our normal sample. We can use flatten normal, but it's the same thing with the lerp. I will show you now. So first I want to multiply R and G channel of the normal map with the normal intensity, and then I will connect this for the lerp, and the B value will be 0, 0, 1, like flat normal. So it will control how flat the normal is. So then when we connect the normal, we will have an error because I forgot to append because the normal sample needs a 3 vector, and I will just append the blue channel of the normal again after the intensity multiplying. Now we will have our rest of the material. I will call them surface details to keep them still organized, give the specific numbers for the right order. And this is it actually. This is our material. This will be our layer 1, like the first layer, and we will create additional information on top of it. So if we want to create a layered material, another layer, we need to copy all this system with the set material part also. We will just copy, and we have like 2 parameters. We need to rename each parameter for each layer, like base color 2, normal 2, all this brightness second, like we need rename for everything to make them separation and working for specific areas in the layer blend, and which is like as you can see, this is a really tedious work, unnecessary, it's not smart, and you cannot scale your material like this. So now we have like another set material attributes. We have the additional base color, roughness, displacement, normal values. We will connect these, and then we will use blend material attributes. And for the blend we will need a mask. I will call this blend mask, and we will now tell about what is the blend mask now. So first, to see the effect, I want to simply use texture coordinate and mask the green channel, red channel. So we will able to see the effect. Yeah, you can see the gradient happening. 0 will be the bottom layer, the white will be our top layer. And here is the HLSL code. I will link in the description to use it on your projects. This is we will see how cool with this. We have the mask amount and mask contrast. We need 2 inputs, 2 scalar inputs. It's 0 and 1 by default. And now it's still keeping the same, but now if we adjust like the amount, we will shift the gradient where will be the happening. And contrast, like high contrast, like 10 or 100 will be like makes it meet on the end center, which makes sense now because you cannot do it with simple multiplication. Now let's see in our material, like as you can see, we need to set the second texture sets. Over the brick we want to have moss generated. and waiting for the shaders. Okay, let's set our MOS textures, or normal and ORD. And the displacement, the nanite workflow is, I don't know, this weird shadows issues, but other than that, it's like the nanite problem. But when you adjust the displacement, you know, the MOS layer needs a really lower contrast because it's using the same displacement amount of the general mesh. We want high displacement in the brick and low one in the MOS. And we can add one more additional option for the UVs, which is custom rotator. So this rotation will give us enable the basic rotation, and since our bricks are facing other way, we can just set for 90. For now it will be 0.125. And like this is the basic setup for our material. We have our mask amount and contrast. We can play with the amount, and you can see this is basically the basic step, basic logic. So whatever we feed into this blend mask, it will be our general control. So I have the second HLSL code will be our blend breakup, because I want another pattern, another information to use in the breakup area, in the gradient area, which will be using the brick layers displacement data, because this is already sampled. This information is already in our material and we can use this freely. And for just breakup input, I will use this scalar parameter. And when we use it on the breakup now, you will be able to see, you know, we can use further adjust the displacement away from the layer. We will have, let's name this BaseMask amount and BaseMask contrast. Then we can add our breakup, as I want to call it DetailMask amount and contrast. So we will additionally overwrite the displacement data to just control of the mask. Under the blend mask category, and let's play with our mask information now. As you can see, it is on the high values of the brick on the displacement, which is we want the inverse of it, so we can just multiply with the negative value. And yeah, I think it's now can be seen. This is the default value of it. So -10. This will make the MOS, the second layer. Actually, the idea is to have a black and white value in the mask, and we want to have white values where we want the MOS happening. So in the inverse of the displacement, the cracks will have the high altitude in the inverse, in the negative version. So then we can freely control the movement with the amount. And the contrast, the BaseMask contrast will generate the gradient area, the gray area, from 0 to 1. So this will be where the breakup effect will be happening. So BaseMask is controlling the area and the DetailMask is controlling the effect of the detail of the breakup effect. I hope that makes sense. We can further adjust our parameters, but it's already like 2 layers and there are a lot of categories, a lot of parameters already. It's like a mess now. And for the more ordered, structured blend mask creation, we can also just create our reroute nodes and call them in the final blend mask creation. So the base mask and the detail mask. This is the core principle of the every 3D software, every material software there are. You will have a single base blend, and the detail will be break up the effect to get rid of the smooth gradient. So for like we have now full power of creating our custom logic for the blend. If we like the adjust, like now we are using the texture coordinate node, we have the gradient all over, but if we like use a noise texture for the base mask, for the base mask, when we use noise, we will see that we have a noise pattern. Let's see. This auto saves, man. Alright, yeah, now you can see the patches, the different areas of the, we can control the scale of the noise, where this blend is happening, and still in the noise, where is this gradient happening from 0 to 1, we have our displacement, whatever, in every case, like it's not dependent on the base mask, it is happening every area of the gray, whatever we feed into our base mask. So base mask amount and contrast will control the effect of the noise, and contrast will still have the control over the area, just general area where this detail mask happening. So understanding this is really important and gives you a lot of flexibility in every kind of material creation. So yeah, this is the core principle. And it's like if we connect, we can use this noise texture also for the display shape, for the detail mask. Let's check it out. We have the gradient again in the R direction, and then we have our detail mask. As you can see, this is the area that is happening, and this pattern now, it is the noise texture. It's not using the displacement now. It's whatever we feed. This is the area. As you can see, this noise is happening, fading in and out. This is where the gradient is happening, which is controlled by the base mask. Now we can like add a switch node to have like option for using with noise or the displacement in the detail mask. Now if we use the switch, we can switch over with the brick displacement, the detail mask or the noise. This is the height blur basically. So this is the general idea, and you can adjust further each layer differently with their specific parameters, like UVs, color, everything. And these are the nodes that I will show you, but again I will share them in the description, or you can pause and take a screenshot. And this is the basic logic, but if we want to adjust like another layer, we will have to go over the whole process. And this renaming parameters is also another work for masks. You know, we need each layer's mask parameter differently, so which is old way. This is not the optimal way. So this is where the material layers comes in. We just swap all the system with the material mask attribute layers node, and now let's create our layer asset, and we will copy all this logic, including the set parameters, material parameters, and just copy paste them all this system into our master layer. So the master layer is requires asking a material attribute node, and we will just feed into all this layer system we already created to here. And also for the blend mask, we can copy and paste all this system for the layers and layer blend. Let's create our master blend. And yeah, as you can see, there's a bottom layer and top layer. It's the same with the blend mask attribute, the same logic, and we just plug this blend mask we already created. We have this error because we don't have the displacement node in the material, so we need to call this, which is like coming from the bottom layer. So we will just get material attribute, we will get the displacement data and use this in our mask logic. This is all we need to do. And let's see. So let's create our new layer system. When we apply this material, we will get rid of everything now. And in the layer parameters tab, we will have our master. When we set our master layer, we will have all these parameters. As always, again, but they are all under this layers category. Like every parameter under the layer is corresponds with the layer we creating. So when we add another layer, controlling these parameters will only add control for this layer specifically. Like we have a blend mask and we have the most overrides everything. So we put our master blender here, and all the parameters we had before we already have here. Like we just separate the work areas of the same logic. This is the same. It's like in the performance cost, like as GPU cost is like the same workflow. It's just like the difference in UVs and how organized it is. And this is like modular version of it, so we can scale our material much better. So we still have additional control. Let's get rid of the tessellation now, and you can see our blend asset. We have this mask logic, and we can set our controlling the BaseMask amount, the contrast, the area, how big the area is, and the breakup will sharpen the effect. And you can see how beautiful the bricks are coming up on the mouse. So this is our general idea. Controlling the blend mask and the detail mask, with each layer has their specific idea. Like tiling will only affect the layer, whatever we feed. They are the same name, same brightness parameter, contrast or tint or anything, but they are just working for that specific layer. This is the beautiful part of it. And yeah, additionally control the brick or anything. And see how the detail mask is adapting, because the information is coming from our material. You know, we set the material, then we will use this for the mask. No, if we just swap the material with another texture set and using another different displacement data, our blend mask will adapt to its logic automatically. And we can save our material instances, so we can use further. We can create our custom layer library, and we just call this layer from libraries, the instances. This is really make your project for much like useful and robust. You can use whatever information there, because since our blend mask is feeding from the brick, whatever we put on the top layer, it will just appear on this area where the blend mask is controlling the information. So when we swap the things, we can add now our mesh paint. I want to show one more thing. This is how you make the mesh painting workflow. I just put another switch to use with texture painting or base gradient, so we can control what kind of BaseMask method we can use. We can select the channel, whatever, and this is we just override this, send it to the BaseMask, and you have like this control and how complex it is. So now when we enable the texture painting, you can see we have our mesh paint mode. When we enable this, and let's scroll down and see the paint mask, you can see the red area. It is where our mask is happening. So when we try to fill, it's going to paint everywhere. We are using the red channel to blend, and when we switch over the RGB channel, you can see the colors. And when we remove this and add a new texture, by default we will have a black mask, which is no effect. Then we can now start painting. We have the red is selected, so now we don't have any information of the blend mask, and when we start painting, we will start to see the top layer, because we are adding value to the base mask, and as it's getting closer to the value of 1, we will reveal more of the moss. So let's increase the strength and let's start painting. It's automatically updating on the mesh paint texture on the right. It just loads a little bit slow on my computer, but this is how you like old vertex paint workflow in the nanite version. As you can see on the right, the whole texture is getting painted, and whatever we paint, we have the update of the moss. And when we lower the strength, it will be like painting in the between value, now like closer to 0.5, and whenever the mask is between 0 and 1 we have option to use our DetailMask to appear. So now we have all this gray area, this transition area, and when we use DetailMask now, when we select this option and we are using the height blur now, and yeah, it is a bit high contrast, but you can additionally control the detail mask, because we are feeding the general logic. We have this control for whatever the information is, where is the information is coming, it doesn't matter. But now as long as our value is between closer to 0.5, we can able to reveal the pattern, the detail mask pattern on the cracks, on the displacement data of the bottom layer, and we can erase or paint whatever we feel like. We can combine any kind of masks. It's a bit slow process, but yeah, it's updating really late on my computer. But this is the newest version of the mesh painting workflow. You just enable nanite and mesh painting in the plugins. Alright. And let's see, we can now, after we paint, we can control the amount of the paint mask. No, not just from the painting. We just put some brush strokes of the where this mask has the information. If it's not 0, it will try to adjust as your mask amount, and your detail mask will only work in the gradient area as again. And we have also the channel option. Now we are painting over the red channel. We only painted on the red, but now if we try to paint over the disable the red and put green, right now we don't have any information on the green. And in the material, if we select the green, now you will be able to see we have no information here, and again we have like a free blank canvas to paint. Increase the strength of our brush, and slowly it will reveal. Let's increase a bit more. Yeah, first the detail will be happening, then when the value is completely 1, then we will have full reveal of the moss. I hope it makes sense and make it clear. This is just how complicated you can create the blend mask is whatever you feel like. I have a lot of different kind of options for the blend mask logic in my layer craft product. This is just the basic version of it, just to give you the general idea. It is much more complex. You can combine different mask methods, everything. It's a whole product, whole system. But this is the general idea of layered materials. Thank you for so much coming and listening to until this point. I hope it's useful for you, and see you on the next time.